Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, October 1st. We're here for a regular meeting of the City Council. I'm going to call that meeting to order and invite you all to join me, if you would like, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Richardson. Here. Shumway.
Here.
Somerville. Absent. Cumby.
Here.
Harrington.
Here.
That's 8 present and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. We will move on to public comment on non-agenda items. I'm going to go ahead and recognize Mr. Glass first.
Thank you, Mayor Harrington, members
You're
of Council. I'm here this evening to talk about an item that's on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor Harrington, members of Council, I'm here to talk to you about an item that is on the consent agenda. I noticed as I was going through the agenda for tonight that there was an item related to a low-income tax credit housing program. And we're all in favor of affordable housing, but this particular program in the past, historically in Laramie, has been known for problems. Outside developers have come in and taken the juicy tax credits from the federal government, built housing, bundled those tax credits into securities and sold them, and then not maintained the properties in good condition, and have created substandard housing here in Laramie. Some people might remember a fellow named Manshrek, who some years ago did that. Those apartments have been plagued with all kinds of problems ever since. The other problem that I see with just going ahead and putting this on the consent agenda is that the residents of the neighborhood are apparently completely unaware that this would be there and would be impacting their neighborhood. I happen, because I am a candidate to sit with you on council, I did door knocking in that neighborhood, and I asked people, have you heard about this proposal to put this dense development with 36 units right down the block from you, and there are only 2 streets that lead into that neighborhood? And they said they had never heard about it. They had never gotten any opportunity. They had no idea they had any opportunity to comment on it. And they were concerned about the fact also, when I told them, oh, by the way, it's on the consent agenda, which means they won't even discuss it. They were particularly concerned about that. Now, our city council, we need to be transparent. You know, we need to make sure that people know what's going on. And the important thing also is that this item has to do with a letter of approval. And this is where you get to set conditions on the developer being able to develop. If you're going to go ahead and approve it, this is where you say you need to provide adequate parking. You need to do things like traffic calming measures. You need to do other things to ameliorate the impacts that it might have on the community. If you pass this opportunity up to do that, you really won't have a chance to do it later. And so it's very important that items like this not just slip by. So I don't know if it's too late. I know during the pre-council you discussed pulling the item from the consent agenda. You may still want to do it if you can. I don't know whether your regular order allows it. But certainly what I would do, in fact, is postpone this until the people in the community knew about it and they could comment, and you could do the right thing and maybe put conditions on this development before you go ahead with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Appreciate you taking time to be here. Any other member of the public wishing to speak to an item that is not on our agenda this evening? Mr. Consul, please come forward. We'll need your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Harrington. Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, my name's Ed Consul, and I'm a resident of Laramie. A couple of weeks ago, I had a really interesting conversation at the farmers market. I spoke with John T. Vance, who's a property developer for Northwest Real Estate Capital Corporation. His company is developing the City of Laramie property on North 4th Street, and that project is going to come in front of the council sooner or later also, if it hasn't been discussed already. what he did was he had posters at the City of Laramie booth at the farmer's market, and he was looking for input from the public on the appearance and layout of the development. So I was kind of interested in it, and I stopped and talked to him. He went through the pictures and what the selections were, and as we were going along, I asked him, where's solar in any of this? And I told him about solar benches and how they could be integrated. We talked about EV charging stations, and apparently none of these had been included in the development plans. So I sent him some information about that. And then I got to thinking, this development could be a real dynamic, powerful showcase for future developments under our resolution for carbon neutrality and our emissions reduction plan. And these are some things that I would like to see considered and that others would also. And that is that all units in this development are all electric. The design and build of the roof strong enough for solar panels and oriented for maximum solar exposure. Vents on the roofs are located so to maximize the area on the roof for solar panels. All units would come with solar installed, 5 to 7 kilowatt for residential, 25 up to 25 for commercial units. The solar is installed with each unit by first analyzing the power consumption that's expected and then installing the appropriate solar panels. Other things to consider for this, and these hadn't been talked about apparently, tankless water heaters, heat pumps, the heating and cooling through underground circulation. These are all done in other communities. Induction ranges for cooking, EV charging stations powered by solar. There's solar benches, solar street lighting, solar walkways, and even trees now that generate solar energy that could be included in this, and none of these were mentioned in any of the parts of the proposal that he had up on the wall at the booth. And if Laramie's going to follow that path for emissions reduction plan and carbon neutrality, this project concerns me that the developer isn't aware of these options. The only one that he had ever talked about at other developments by this company were the EV charging stations, and they weren't in his plan for here. This also would qualify for rebates of 30% or more under the IRA and other federal grant sources. So it could save the future tenants money, it could be a model for future developments in Laramie, and it could save money for everyone by obtaining these grants as part of it. And as Mr. Glass was saying, this is another thing that needs to be very public and considered. I hadn't heard about it till I stopped at the booth and saw the display. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you taking time to be here. Any other member of the public wishing to speak to the council on an agenda or on an item not on our agenda this evening, go ahead and come forward in the room. All right. Seeing none, I will close public comment and just note the consent agenda comment. We have a letter of support, not a letter of approval on the consent agenda, just for a point of clarity there. All right. So closing public comment to the Vice Mayor for changes to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the following changes to the agenda be approved. To add item 10A, grant agreement for Wyoming outdoor recreation grant funds between the State of Wyoming, Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites and Trails, and the City of Laramie for the Labonte Park Pathway and Fitness Trail Improvements Project, and to add item 10B, grant agreement for Wyoming outdoor recreation grant funds between the State of Wyoming, Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites and Trails of the City of Laramie for the Labonte Park Pathway and Fitness Trail Improvements Park. Now, I just read two that are the same, so
Please, City Clerk.
it was,
So the second one is the same, except at the
Is for
end.
the Spring Creek Trail Phase 2 AG approved contract. So, I'm sorry.
All right, do we have a second? Is that
Should
sufficient?
I read
City
that
Clerk?
again?
No, Mayor, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Cumbie, seconded by Richardson. All those in favor of those changes to the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, those changes have been included.
So,
Please go ahead and set the agenda.
I move that the agenda be set as changed.
Second. Motion by Cumbie, seconded by Newman, sneaking in there. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. All right, the agenda has been set. All right, we're going to move on to public hearings, councilors. We have the first one, the new microbrewery permit. City Clerk, please.
Notice is hereby given that on the 6th day of September 2024, an application was received in the office of the city clerk for a new microbrewery permit, liquor license number M-9 for Blacktooth Brewing Company LLC located at 108 East Grand Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming, for a license term of October 1st, 2024 through May 7th, 2025, contingent upon the closing and sale of the building location. Public hearing to hear comments or protests relative to this license application will be held Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at Council Chambers, 406 Ivinson Avenue, or via Zoom meeting ID 862-4410-7782, passcode 285291. Action on this application will be considered at the regular meeting of the City Council on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in Council Chambers. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this public hearing? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close that public hearing. City Clerk will move on to the next one.
Notice is hereby given that on the 10th of September 2024, an application was received in the office of the city clerk for a new bar and grill liquor license, number BG-15 for Curry and Grill, Inc., doing business as Momo House Grill and Bar and Grill, located at 207 South 3rd Street, Laramie, Wyoming, for a license term of October 2nd, 2024 through May 7th, 2025. Public hearing to hear comments or protests relative to this license application will be held Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at Council Chambers, 406 Ivinson Avenue, or via Zoom meeting ID 862-4410-7782, passcode 285291. Action on this application will be considered at the regular meeting of City Council on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in Council Chambers. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this public hearing? Raise your hand on Zoom or come forward in the room. Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing, and back to you one more time, City Clerk, for the final public hearing this evening.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held at 6:30 p.m. on October 1st, 2024 in Council Chambers, Laramie City Hall, 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. The meeting will be held with both online Zoom and in-person option to take public comments on the following: PP-24-02 Breeze Through Car Wash Edition, a preliminary plat for one lot for future development of a breeze through car wash located at South 3rd Grand Avenue and east of 26th Street in Laramie. The site, approximately 1.1 acres in size, was previously used as a fuel station, medical office, and most recently for retail sales. The application has been submitted by Breeze Through Car Wash. All applications, plans, and specifications relative to these matters are available for review at the City of Laramie Planning Office at 405 Grand Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk. Anyone wishing to speak to this public hearing? All right. We have one attendee in the on the Zoom call, please. All right, Deanna Roon, when you are on, looks like you are, we'll need you to turn your camera on, and you will have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Deanne Fredrickson. I'm the owner's rep for Breeze Through Car Wash, and I'm attending tonight just to represent Breeze Through Car Wash tonight. If you have any questions, do you want to hear about the project right now, or is that later in the agenda when it comes up?
We'll hold that for when the item comes up later on.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was known. Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, anyone else? All right, we'll close that public hearing. Staff announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. So I wanted to introduce to you tonight a new member of our staff. Council, you may recall in 2017 and 18, we had to do some downstaffing across the city to reflect some cuts in state funding that were made to cities, towns, and counties. Since that time, we've slowly built back up our staffing capacity, and we're now, as you know, from talking, from reviewing the workforce report last month, we're kind of now back at the strength that we had from a staffing perspective back in 2018. So I wanted to introduce you to our most recent member of staff that we have added, and that is Mike Bork, and he's with us tonight. Mike is the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. And let me tell you a little bit about him, then I'll have him come up and you can meet him face to face. Mike's worked in, I think, 5 states: Alaska, Illinois, Missouri, Colorado, and Oregon. And he has a bachelor's degree in recreation administration and also a master's in organizational psychology. He's a professional in Parks and Rec management. That's a certification in that field. And so we were very happy to have Mike want to join our team. He's been on the ground on site for a week now, so go easy on him. And he will be working with and reporting directly to Assistant City Manager Todd Fieser. So with that, I'll ask Mike to come up and introduce himself.
Thanks, City Manager. Director Bork, welcome.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, Janine did a really great job of giving all of my bona fides, so I'm just going to add on to that I'm very excited. It's been a whirlwind first week and a half, learning, drinking from the fire hose, as the saying goes, trying to meet staff throughout the system, learn where all the parks are, and start diving into the department's needs and supporting all the management and supervisors staff all the way to the provisional staff and really doing great things for the community. My wife and I are very excited to be moving to Laramie, and we are very, very close on the finalizing our house purchase here, and we are just super excited to be part of the community. As Janine mentioned, I've lived in a lot of different areas, and Laramie by far is one of the greatest that we've seen as far as the feel of the friendliness and support of the community. I really appreciate the support of Parks and Recreation throughout the community. We have some amazing facilities and parks and trails with a lot of great work coming up, which I'll be talking to you a little bit later on. So with that, I thank you all, and I look forward to getting a chance to meet all of you individually. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. We're glad you're here.
Hey, Mayor.
Please, Councilor Gabriel, please.
Stepped away too soon.
It's no free lunch.
Watching your interview video, I understand you're quite the entertainer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Put me on the spot. Sure. Yes. I have been an entertainer. In fact, it started as being part of my Parks and Recreation career. I learned how to make balloon animals when I was in summer camp management and being a camp director. So I'm a balloon animal artist. I play the ukulele. I'm a stage actor. And you might have been really waiting for this one. I'm an Elvis impersonator. And actually was a member of a 3-man Elvis group in Alaska called the Portly Presleys. So if you want more information than that, I'm not going to put any more of that on the public record, but you can certainly talk to me individually and find out Yes, we even produced a Christmas album called We Three Kings. So, yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Director. Any,
I just want to know when he was in Alaska doing that.
I was in Fairbanks from 2011 to 2021. The Portly Presleys were in the latter part of that. I think we were there. We were active about 2017 to 2020 when one of the Portly Presley members left the area. I was also part of a Johnny Cash impersonation group as well. So I enjoy being out there in the community, and I'm sure you'll see me. In fact, if you come to our 20th anniversary celebration of the Laramie Community Rec Center this Friday at 5 o'clock, I'll be there with my ukulele playing some songs for the kids that get free admission during our celebration. So I invite you to that, and you can come and hear my rendition of Kermit the Frog's Rainbow Connection or some of the other ones that you might want to hear.
thank you.
Thank
Councilors, any other questions before we let him off the hook? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bork. Thank you, City Manager. All right, council members, any disclosures this evening? All right, we're going to go to the Vice Mayor then to approve the consent agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Motion by Cumbie, seconded by Pierce. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville. Absent. Cumbie.
Here?
Oh,
Yes.
Harrington.
yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Consent agenda has been approved. Just for edification of the public, the next 2 items were added during pre-council as walk-on items. So if you had your agenda open online, you would want to refresh it to see these 2 items. I'm going to go to Councilor Gabriel for 10A.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Laramie City Council approve the grant agreement for the Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant Funds between the State of Wyoming, Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites and Trail, and the City of Laramie for the Labonte Park Pathway and Fitness Trail Improvement Project, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Gabriel, second by Cumbie. Assistant City Manager, please.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, I apologize for being in front of you today on such short notice and have to walk a couple items on. In Resolution 2024-09, you approved the application to the Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant for Labonte Park Trail and Fitness Station replacement. We had been notified a while back that we had made it through the grant process and we were waiting for it to come out of the AG's office. We just received the grant agreements on Monday with a request that we get them signed and back to them before the 8th of October, which doesn't have to give us a chance to get to the next meeting. So this was our attempt to comply with the direction that we're going for. On this grant, we had applied for about 1.5. We were awarded 1,393,817, matching that with $154,869 for a total project of $1,548,686. I believe we can get the project done for that amount, but we may need to reach into some more SPT funds at a certain point to make sure that that happens. But we're certainly excited to replace those projects. We're going to actually hopefully do this under a fixed price proposal agreement and try to get it under construction in the spring of 2025. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilors, questions? I know we've discussed this a time or two, but okay. We're going to turn it over to the public then. If there's any member of the public that wishes to comment on this item, please go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand if you are on the Zoom call. Seeing no comment, we'll close public comment back to council. Vice Mayor, please.
I just want to say thank you and how much we appreciate the effort that goes into writing these grants and the impact it'll have on our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other comments, council members? All right.
Honorable Mayor, if I could respond with a little bit to that.
Sure.
You know, absolutely, it does take some work from staff, but by contracting with Sarah Reese to help us write these grants, she's instrumental in helping us get through the monumental amount of paperwork to get those done. So it goes without saying that a lot of our praise should be directed to Sarah Reese.
Thank you, Sarah Reese.
Credit where it's due. Thank you.
We miss her.
All right. Anyone else? All right. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes?
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville, absent. Pierce.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 10B. Councilmember Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Laramie City Council approve the grant agreement for Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant Funds between the State of Wyoming, Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites, and Trail, and the City of Laramie for the Spring Creek Trail Phase 2 project, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by Gabriel. Assistant City Manager again.
Honorable Mayor, same grant application, same dates as before. This was approved by Resolution 2024-08. A little bit about this project is, you know, when Janine and I had kind of envisioned tackling the TAP grant that paid for Spring Creek Trail Phase 1, I thought at that time, I was like, wow, are we ever going to get enough money to do all this? And right now, this is just a bright shining star for this community to be able to build from 23rd to 9th Street, you know, what is that, 14 blocks of shared use pedestrian pathway at a time when the school district is closed by elementary school and a lot of kids are moving down Spring Creek to get to Spring Creek School. So, you know, just the benefit and everything coming together to make this project happen is really important. This one, interestingly, we actually ended up with more than we had actually applied for. We ended up with $2,479,705 in grant. We're matching that with $235,428 for a $2.7 million project, which should get us there. Again, we're going to try to do some innovative techniques to get this under contract and maybe under construction next spring. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. Council members, any questions? Okay. We'll turn it over to the public. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call, please. All right.
Sorry.
I'll come right back to you. Hold on. All right. Seeing no comment or no public comment, we'll close that comment period. Councilor Richardson, please.
I actually did have a question.
Please.
Sorry. Mr. Piso, did they share why they went beyond, like what drew them to this project as kind of in terms of future learning and how we can, yeah.
Honorable Mayor, through you to Councilor Richardson, you know, oftentimes grant math is a little bit goofy. You know, if you're doing 10% of a project and you think your project's $4 million, so you apply for $4 million, you add $400,000, and it somewhere along the lines it just got crossed up, and we just ended up with a little bit more money than we needed, or than we had applied for, and we're excited to move forward with the project as is.
Thanks.
So.
Thank you. Any other comments, council members? All right, I would just note the walk-on items are not typically the way we do things, but hard to look $3.8 million in the face and say no. So, so it goes. All right, City Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll on 10B, please.
Richardson.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes?
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville, absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Item 11, Councilmember Newman.
I move to award the contract for purchase of Unit 605 landfill loader with trade-in to Wyoming Machinery Company, Cheyenne, Wyoming, in the amount not to exceed $315,890, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Newman, second by Richardson. Director Webb, welcome.
Mayor, excuse me, Mayor, Council, this is a replacement of the current landfill loader. It's on our replacement schedule to be replaced in this fiscal year. It's got about 8,000 hours on it right now. We're starting to get some dirty oil samples, if you will, which is typical of the age and use on this machine. So it's a direct replacement, came in under budget. Wyoming Machinery is the Caterpillar dealer over in Cheyenne. We work with them on a daily basis across all departments. And so we're recommending award to Wyoming Machinery for this piece of equipment. I'll take any questions if you have them.
All right, thank you, Director Webb. Council members, any questions? All right. All right, we'll turn it over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Council members, before the vote. Councilor Newman, please.
I just wanted to clarify the dirty oil sample, because a few people asked me that. Usually that just means there's metal or something, so there's internal contamination, so.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It'll make me smarter if I ever have that come up getting my oil changed. Councilor Newman told me something about this. I think I'm supposed to buy a new one.
It's not good. It's bad news.
All right, City Clerk, I'll ask you to call the roll, please.
Newman.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville, absent. Richardson.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 12. Councilmember Pierce.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I move that Laramie City Council award the contract for the purchase of 1 unit 954 Zamboni to Zamboni Company USA CO without trade through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Group in an amount not to exceed $130,345,000 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Please, City Clerk.
Can we just clarify the dollar amount? Just, maybe I heard that wrong, but $130,345.
Did I say it wrong? Yeah, I did. $130,345,000.
130,000. I got it. It's 130,345. You put the 1,000 in the wrong spot.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Is that
usual.
sufficient, City Clerk?
Yeah, that'll
Okay,
work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Pierce, second by Gabriel. Director Bork, welcome back.
All right, Honorable Mayor, City Council, thank you. This is something that was budgeted in the 25-26 biennial budget to replace a 17-year-old existing Zamboni. The new Zamboni is going to hopefully perform as long as this one has. We have had that Zamboni nearly the life of the ice center, and it's aging. Every year that it goes in for preventative maintenance, it's having more and more parts that are either obsolete or need to be repaired. This new Zamboni is a different model, and knowing the Zamboni styles after living in Fairbanks, Alaska for a long time, this is a really great unit for a really great price. It is a propane model, and I wanted to point out, and it's in your report, that we had looked at all electric models. They're just not quite there for such a heavy machine as a Zamboni yet. And both performance of the kind of traditional propane model, as well as the long charging times needed for the all-electric models, led to the choice of this one that's before you here. And so we are not not planning on trading in the older model. We want to keep it as a backup. It is still serviceable, even with some of its maintenance problems. But if this Zamboni does have the newer one happens to go down, it's great to have a spare for when we have a lot of busy ice, which the Ice Center certainly has a lot of schedule. So we would be keeping the older model in addition to the new model. And I'm available for any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, please.
And it's my understanding that there's no trade-in value on this older model, that it's so old. It's
correct.
Okay.
Yes, there was no interest in taking any trade.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Other questions, council members? Seeing none, we'll turn it to the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak to this item can go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand if you're on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Councilors, before the vote, any comments? Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville, absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 13, Councilor O'Doherty.
I move to approve amendment number 7 to the professional engineering services agreement between the City of Laramie and DOWL for the North Side Tank design in the amount of $120,000 and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, second by Richardson. Director Webb, please.
Yeah, Mayor, gosh darn, excuse me, Mayor, Council, the North Side Tank project is unfortunately extended past the dates for substantial completion. And so what this has done is that our consultant, Dow, who's doing our construction management out there, have expended all their funds that we awarded, thinking that we would be done with the project by now. So to have them continue on through the remainder of the project, they require more funding. Dow is doing our project management, field observation, material testing, verification, and post-construction services. They're out on the project every day. And with that, I'll take questions if you have them.
Thank you, Director Webb. Council members, any questions? Please, Vice Mayor.
I'm just wondering, Director Webb, is there an anticipated date of completion at this point?
Yeah, Mayor, through you, the anticipated completion right now that we have from the contractor is the end of November.
Other questions, councilors? Councilor Gabriel, please.
Yes, thank you. Brooks, I'm just curious about the liquidated damages mentioned in the report here of the $22.50 per calendar day. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, we're anticipating that this $120,000 will be recuperated through liquidated damages. We're currently in liquidated damages with the contractor. That $2,250 a day is being withheld from their monthly payment.
Okay.
They're currently 239 days behind schedule, which is about $538,000 that has been withheld at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gabriel. I had the same question. Other questions, councilors? Okay, we'll turn it over to the public. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and raise your hand on the Zoom call or come forward in the room. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Back to the council before the vote. Please, Councilor O'Doherty.
I just want to recognize the staff for being forward-thinking with this Northside Tank project. And in light of what's going on in the in cities that were affected by the hurricane, it's really nice to know in Laramie we have this redundancy. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Other comments before the vote? All right, City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Somerville, absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Move on to item 14. Vice Mayor Cumby, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the application for a new microbrewery liquor license number M-9 for Blacktooth Brewing Company, LLC, doing business as Blacktooth Brewing Company, located at 108 East Grand Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming, for the licensing term October 19, 2024 through May 7, 2025, contingent upon the closing of the sale of the property and pending Coal Creek Tap asset purchase agreement no later than November 22, 2024, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Richardson. City Clerk, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On September 6th, we received an application in the City Clerk's office for a new microbrewery permit, liquor license for 108 East Grand Avenue. You're all familiar with this location as Coal Creek Tap. They are selling that building to Blacktooth Brewing Company, which is why we, actually to their parent company that will own the building that Blacktooth Brewing Company is leasing the building from. So kind of all looped together in the same thing, just two separate entities, similar to many other businesses in town. So we have received a letter of relinquishment from Coal Creek Tap to relinquish their license as of October 18th. So that does make it that location available pending their closing, of the sale of that property. So they do have to lease or own that building in order to have a liquor license. That's why we put the contingency in there. So with that, if you have any questions, please let me know. We also have Michelle Forrester with us from Blacktooth Brewing Company as their representative this evening.
Thank you, City Clerk. Councilors, any questions for either the City Clerk or Ms. Forster? Ms. Forster, is there anything you would like to add?
Good evening. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and council members. There is nothing particular that I would like to add this evening except to tell you all that we are really excited to be a part of the fabric of the craft beer industry in Laramie, and we'd be very happy to answer any questions you have or concerns you have about Blacktooth. This would be our 4th location in Wyoming. We are headquartered in Sheridan, but we also have locations in Cheyenne, Casper, and hopefully soon in Laramie. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for taking time to be here. All right. Any questions, council members? Last chance. All right. We're going to turn this over to the public. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak on to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, we will close public comment period. Back to the council for any comments before the vote. All right. Ms. Forrester, good luck. City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Somerville. Absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll go to item 15, Vice Mayor Cumby again.
Thank you. I move to approve the application of a new bar and grill liquor license number BG-15 for Curry and Grill Incorporated, doing business as Momo House Bar and Grill, located at 207 South 3rd Street, Laramie, Wyoming, for the licensing term October 2nd, 2024 through May 7, 2025, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Richardson. City Clerk again.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On September 10th, we received an application in our office from Curry and Grill Inc. I'm trying to remember what their LLC is. This is in the location that we've had a couple different businesses go through, most recently Palermo's. And so we're wishing them the best of luck. We have discussed with them that they do have a requirement of only 40% alcohol sales, 60% food sales according to state statutes. So they have told us that they are aware of that. Their dispensing location will be in the same location that other folks have used, and it's in that bar location when you first walk through the door. So that's where they will be serving from. With a barn grill liquor license, they can have a bar, an actual operating bar. Some of the previous licenses we've issued in that area have been restaurant liquor licenses, which they couldn't have seating right there at the bar. These folks can with a barn grill. So with that, if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer those. I don't see our applicant present tonight, but.
Thank you, City Clerk. Councilors, any questions? Okay. We'll turn it over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Councilors, any comments before the vote? All right, we wish them luck as well. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Somerville, absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 16. Councilmember Newman.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-73, amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 biennial budget of the City of Laramie, Wyoming for reappropriated amounts and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Newman, second by Doherty. Director Wade, welcome.
Honorable Mayor, City Councilors, I'm excited to summarize for you this evening your first ever budget amendments for reappropriations. As you may recall, just for some history, we had a history at the city of manually rebudgeting funds between period in your normal appropriation process in May and June when you adopt the budget. But with our new software, we no longer have to do that, and I am thrilled about this change, including those manual reappropriations in the budget you're considering in May and adopting in June. Actually, in my opinion, really skews the total adopted budget from a new appropriation standpoint. And I'm really glad that we can now separately present this total, also in a more precise way, because when you think about it, the city manager's recommended budget hits your lap at the end of April, and then we have work sessions in May and June, and so those rebudgeted numbers that you have historically adopted are also very stale and at a point in time, whereas the reappropriated amount before you this evening is as of the fiscal year end. The other exciting change this amendment represents is the implementation of purchasing at the city, which means that we have purchase orders and contracts that are encumbering funds that we move in between periods, and so a certain component of this budget amendment are true encumbrances and reappropriations of those amounts, which you have never seen before. You sometimes would hear us refer to those amounts as manual rebudgets, but they certainly wouldn't have been tied to a purchase order or contract in the system. So all in all, much better control, better numbers for you to consider, and better comparability for the public as they look at how the appropriations you're adopting each June compare period to period without those rebudgeted totals. So let's talk about the numbers here and what these rebudgets are. So most of this amendment are actually unspent project funds from capital appropriations that move in between years. There is a small component of this amendment that we're calling an operating reappropriation. Those amounts are related to purchase orders and one manual rebudget of funds for project management services that I'll get into a little later. But with this process, we are not doing what many governments do and just scrambling to encumber funds at the end of the fiscal year to move them in between periods. And that's why if you look at the memo associated with this amendment, you will see that we've broken out for you how much of this carry forward is related to those capital appropriations, which you know are one-time amounts, and how much are related to purchase orders and operating, which is really, really small. So getting into the numbers, the reappropriated amount for fiscal year 2025 is $80,289,474. That's a big number. Think about that being in your adopted budget. Another great reason it's out. For governmental funds, the amount is $39,119,049. You'll notice in your memo, not only are we reappropriating expenditures, we're also adjusting our revenue estimates. So revenues that are associated with these capital projects, for example, were not included in the revenue forecast for Janine's recommended budget to you, the city manager's recommended budget to you, because to do so would have overstated those totals. And so if you adopt this amendment, that revenue will move forward. You'll notice in the governmental funds, there's only $116,000-ish of operating rebudget. The only manual item in there is a $28,000 rebudget of project management services for the transit planning grant. The rest of it is all purchase orders related to operating. And wrapping up my presentation, in the enterprise funds, the reappropriation is $41,170,425. The operating reappropriation from that amount is about $15,000. So again, I hope you see evidence of us not engaging in the practice of inappropriately encumbering and moving funds between periods, and you can have confidence in this process. At this time, I'd be happy to open it up to any questions you may have.
Councilors, questions? Okay. All right, thank you, Director Wade. We will turn this over to the public. If there's any members of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call, please. All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Councilors, anything before the vote? Councilor Richardson, please.
I just want to take a moment to say thank you to you and your department. I feel like our finance department does an excellent job of breaking things down and sometimes talking too fast, but really going through it clearly, and I very much appreciate it, so thank you.
I love her excitement and smile over money.
Thank you, Councilor. Other comments, Council? Thank you, Director Wade. All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Badority.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville. Absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Move on to item 17, Councilmember Newman again.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-74, amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 biennial budget of the City of Laramie, Wyoming, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Newman, seconded by Cumby. Director Wade.
Honorable Mayor, City Councilors, the item before you this evening, the second budget amendment, is the first quarterly amendment of fiscal year 2025. If you looked at the memo, you will see that this amendment is short and sweet and mostly funded by grants, which is exactly the kind of budget amendment I like as your finance director. I will also say that I think you see evidence of our software implementation and our enhanced budgetary controls in this amendment. You see budget amendments for your consideration now much more frequently. I gave you a heads up of that change last year after we implemented, and so I really feel like this change puts more of the power into your hands right at the right time to consider whether you want to approve increases in appropriations or not, instead of having these larger quarterly amendments that are harder to work through. So I hope you're appreciating that change as well. The total recommended amendment this evening is $2,322,500. 92% of this amendment is funded by grant funds. Only $7,500 of this amendment is in the governmental fund, and the governmental funds, all in the general fund. The rest of the amendment is in the water fund. Now diving into the general fund a little bit more. Staff are recommending a $3,000 increase to replace some chairs in the annex conference room. The chairs were aged. This request did not make it into the budget process, and staff recommended that waiting until next year really would not be appropriate based on the condition of these chairs, and so we're asking for a small amendment for that item. The other two items in the general fund, a $200 decrease in the Parks Division and a $4,700 increase in the Recreation Division, actually correct misinterpretation by the budget team of where these ACRB funded items were to land in the budget. And so we inappropriately made some assumptions assumptions about a parks trailer, we need to remove that $200, and we need to put in a recreation trailer for $4,700 funded entirely by grant revenue. Now, in the water fund, the adjustment is a little larger, but again, it's mostly funded by grants. We're recommending a $2,315,000 increase for the Dallin Headgate Structure Project. $2.14 million of this increase is funded by grants, while $175,000 will be funded by cash reserves. When we were developing budget estimates last spring, before the city manager gave you her recommendation, staff were still working through the myriad funding sources that we're cooking for this project. And if you read your memo, there are 6 of them. The budget amendment before you this evening does not include all 6. It includes the awards that have been finalized to date. So you may see some future amendments on this project. What I would note is based on the awarded funding, our city match is included in the budget amendment you're considering, and that match is $250 million. And the project budget that you adopted for 2025 was $75,000, all funded by cash reserves. And our Natural Resources Program Administrator is here to talk to you a little bit more about this project this evening.
Thank you, Director Wade. Director Wade, can you take one question from Councilor Richardson first?
Just one thing for the public. I think she said 250 million match, and I think it's 250,000.
Yes, thank you for that correction.
I appreciate that. It's a big difference. Administrator Smith, welcome.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, you all have heard me talk about this a million times now. I'll just go over the project real quick from the 30,000-foot view. It is the complete removal and replacement of the Dallin diversion headgate and also the dam structure. And that is the #1, the Dallin right is the #1 priority in Laramie River, and that is what feeds all of the agricultural properties. So right now, we have the almost 10% match of $250,000. There we go. And with that, I'm not going to say I'm excited because I do that every time. So this time.
We share the excitement. Vice Mayor, please.
Could you remind me of the age of the current structure?
So the original Dallin dam and headgate structure dates to the 1860s. It was rehabbed in the 1920s, and then there was some, we'll call it patchwork maybe, lots of concrete and sheet piling in the early 2000s.
Thank you.
It's
scary. It's definitely in need of being done. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Councilors, any questions about this? Okay, thank you. Director Wade. Councilor Gabriel, please.
I'm a little bit confused because I thought we were talking about the Plenty project.
Oh, Councilor, you're just one item ahead. We are on the item
Right before it.
17 is what we're on now. So
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
buckle in, you're just faster than us. Okay.
So that concludes the presentation of the amendment to you this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council members, any questions? All right. We'll turn this over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call, please. Seeing no public comment, we will close public comment period. Council, before the vote. Councilor Doherty, please.
I just want to point out if there is anybody from the public listening that some of the awards are coming from Wyoming Water Development Commission, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and North American Wetlands Conservation Act, Wyoming Game and Fish, and Laramie River Conservation District. So I appreciate the staff going after all those grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doherty, and certainly appreciate all those partners showing up on this project with us. All right, City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Yes.
Somerville absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 18. Councilor Pierce.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Laramie City Council approve Resolution 2024-75, deferring fees related to the development and construction of Plenty Unlimited, Inc., Project Jupiter, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Richardson. Assistant City Manager, please. Oh, City Clerk, please.
It authorized the city manager on this one and city clerk.
Sorry. Authorize the city manager and clerk to sign.
Thank you.
Too much.
Second agree? Councilor Richardson, are you okay with that change?
Honorable Mayor, this is the resolution, that's a typo on my half. This is a resolution, should be signed by the mayor and clerk. I apologize for that, Nancy.
See, I knew it.
Oh, you knew?
You were right. I apologize.
All right. So let's just pretend that last minute didn't happen. And Assistant City Manager, we are to you.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, first off, apologize for that mistake in
No
the
problem.
motion. But as you are all aware, in 2023, the City of Laramie was awarded a $20 million grant by the Wyoming Business Council for the Business Ready Community Grant, the largest ever awarded by the state of Wyoming. Since that time, we've hired a design firm and we've gone through multiple iterations, evaluation, increased expenditures on building that have ended up with a lot of scoping and de-scoping and re-scoping, and right now we're down to a building that is just enough to allow plenty to grow, but we're afraid that any more cuts will lead towards diminished return on the investment. At this point, what we're asking for is a deferral of all the city's fees, which are planning fees, building permit, plan review, water development, sewer development, water meter fees, with an idea that at the end of the project, if there is funds remaining, that those funds will be used to replace the project, replace the deferred fees, and any fees that are not paid at the end of the project would be waived entirely. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council members, any questions? Councilor Richardson, please.
We've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but I think when we spoke about it, my understanding was more of we defer the fees until they are able to start making money and then pay that back. Is there a reason that we wouldn't go that route with this rather than completely defer the fees, have expectations in place of payback?
Honorable Mayor, I guess I really hadn't assessed that if I was to say anything. I think it's the fact that this one's grant funded. And so the grant would necessarily be intended to pay the construction fees as we go through, the fees for plan review and such as we're there. And we just hadn't made that assessment at this point yet.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? Okay. I'll turn this over to the public. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I will close public comment. Council members, any comments before the vote? Councilor Doherty, please.
I'm comfortable with deferring, but not eliminating the fees at the end if they can't pay it. That doesn't seem right to me.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Newman.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to vote no on this because if we do it for one, then we're going to have to start doing it for everybody, and I'm not okay with that. So it is a great idea and a great project, but they should be liable for some of these fees.
Thank you. Councilor Gabriel, please.
I'm just curious, Todd, if it says estimated 150,000, do you think that's going to be the final number?
Honorable Mayor, through you to Councilor Gabriel, I actually believe it's going to be under that. Right now, there was no way to get the full plumbing, HVAC, and one other fee that's based on units and fixtures, and I estimated those to be high at this point, just to give us some leeway.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Other discussion? Seems like some questions bubbling up, and I think that's just fine. Councilor Pierce.
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but sadly, I think, given the need in the community and where they are in the project, I think, unfortunately, we may need to swallow. So I certainly don't want this setting any precedents, if I could say. say that, but given how supportive the state has been and the fact that this was huge for the state, and it's really huge for Laramie. So I think I will swallow that pill. And, you know, it's our second project up there, right? Which we've been waiting on for a very long time at Cirrus Sky. So that's good too. And we haven't had any bites for that for, I think we approved Cirrus Sky when I first got on council, which was 12 years ago, and this is a big bite. So this is good.
Thank you, Councilor. Honorable Mayor, if I could add, a few of the items that we added into the resolution to try to make sure that it was known that this was a one-time event is we made statements related to this being the single largest grant award ever by the state of Wyoming to try to differentiate it from any other project that may come forward of that magnitude for this community.
Thank you. Councilor Doherty?
But 150,000 compared to 2 million, it seems like, come on, they got a lot of money. So I don't understand. And anyway, I'd be happy to understand why you guys think it's a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions or comments, council members? Councilor Richardson, please.
Yes, I'm struggling with that a little bit, just in terms of, I'm seeing both sides of this, that this is a huge project. We want to really support what the state did and say thank you and do what we can to make sure this goes as smoothly as possible. I think deferring those fees is a great way to do that. We can show support, defer that, and then, you know, perhaps an amendment to say, as the entity begins to recoup, you know,
make it also.
yeah, some sort of, I don't know what this amendment would look like yet, so sorry, I'm working through this. But as they begin to recoup these dollars, or within a certain time frame, those dollars would be paid back. Whether that is over 10 years, those will be paid back. I mean, I think we can be really lenient on the time frame that they do get paid back. But again, we're not looking at a, this is an organization who I think has had a lot of support and has the funds to cover this in the long run. So an amendment would be, okay, let me get to where we are here, sorry.
Do you want to take a minute and see if there's any other
do you
comments?
mind? That would be great, because I hadn't really thought about this.
Any other council members have some comments while Councilor Richardson's working through what she's up to?
Can I ask if this is really critical to get done tonight, or if we could come up with an amendment for the next meeting, or am I ruining everything if we ask to do that?
Assistant City Manager.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, I don't know that it's critical for tonight, but, you know, postponement would give us time to see what the effects of not, you know, if we are not waiving the fees at the end of the project, what that does for Plenty's commitment to being in this community at the same time.
All right, councilors, other comments? Vice Mayor, please.
I would be more comfortable with a postponement so that we can be fully informed of the total impact and to consider the cost-benefit ratio. I would rather see a postponement so that we get full information.
Assistant City Manager, do you recall how many jobs are created by this expansion?
Honorable Mayor, I don't off the top of my head. It's actually a growth over a certain amount of years, and
right.
Maybe close to 70 jobs.
Okay. And I ask because, to the Vice Mayor's point, $150,000 of investment for 70 jobs is pretty insignificant. I think when you think about what a community would spend for economic development to get 70 jobs, this isn't anything. And I mean, it's $150,000. We should be considerate, and I'm not downplaying your discussion over here, but we're not talking small jobs, right? We're talking high-paying jobs. So sort of jobs that are lacking in the community to some extent outside of the university, which I think is important that we build. So I just, thank you. All right. Counselor Newman, Counselor Richardson.
Does anybody know the like salary of somebody there off the top of their head?
They're usually pretty high.
I think,
Yes, City Manager,
Council,
please.
I don't recall the exact number, but I will tell you they were well-paid positions, well-paid positions.
Thank you, Counselor.
And I am looking up the detail.
Counselor Richardson.
And I don't want to like put any, like, it's, again, feels a little bit difficult because I don't want to roadblock this project. I want to make sure this goes forward. I think these jobs are important. I think all of this is huge to the growth of Laramie. And and what sorts of things can we do to support them on the front end and still have something in place that shows, we also recognize they are a business like other businesses, and how, is there a way to, and maybe it's not, and I guess, sorry, one more question. Did you say, Director Fieser or Assistant Director Fieser, that a postponement you don't feel that would impact, that would give us just a little more time to get a sense of things?
Honorable Mayor, through you, I do not believe that postponement would critically impact the project as it moves forward.
So even considering, maybe it's 50% payback or something that just feels like there's, I don't know. I'm a little torn on this one, clearly.
Counselor Gabriel. Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Mayor.
Counselor Doherty next.
I think I can go either way if council wants to go on and postpone, but I feel confident that city staff has come to the council and asked for support of this, and your comments about the economic potential that this is going to bring to the community is so important. I'm going to support the way it stands right now. And, we'll see what happens. If there is a postponement, we can take this up in future meetings.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Doherty,
Honorable
please.
Mayor, if
please.
I can add some light to some of the discussion that's happened. Job quality, Project Jupiter will add 120 full-time positions to their existing 82 at an average wage of $30.25 per hour. They'll offer a comprehensive benefits package also. So, and that's across 4.79 years.
Can you remind me who owns the building?
Honorable Mayor, through you, the city will own it until it's done being constructed. Then we will quit claim deed, I believe that's a term, quit claim deed it to Laramie Chamber Business Alliance in a leaseback purchase. And then at the end of a certain lease amount, then Plenty Unlimited will own the building after a certain amount of time.
All right. Vice Mayor, please.
I was moved by your comment, Mr. Mayor, about the amounts of money that we spend elsewhere for economic development, and comparatively, this is little. And compared to the impact this project will have, 120-plus jobs, is significant. And the partnerships that we have with the state and with the Business Council, I just think I would support this at this point in time.
Any other questions, discussion?
I have one more. I'm so sorry. In thinking about this, I'm also now trying to think of like where have we done something similar or given breaks in order to draw business in. And I'm thinking about like the old Kmart lot, right? We did incentivize to do that. And so, perhaps that's the way I need to think about this. Again, when we are thinking about jobs and what's happening in the scheme of things, the 150,000 or less, whatever it might be, is really, to bring in that many jobs is important, even though I'm real uncomfortable with, kind of the situation. I think it's likely worth it. So I'm okay moving forward.
Thank you. Councilor Newman?
I'm just trying to do the math real fast. How many jobs did you say it was going to add?
Councilor Newman, I did it quick, $1,250 a job.
Cool.
Just did it a minute ago.
Honorable Mayor, and I think City Manager Jordan has some to add, but I think in some other projects that have been similar to this, the city's actually donated the land for some of the projects. So although this is a request that's coming through, it's certainly not the first time the city has participated in providing some incentive and some assistance to these economic development projects in the past.
All right, I'm going to turn this over to the public real fast. Any member of the public wishing to speak to this can come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, back to the council before the vote. Any parting thoughts? Councilor Newman?
I don't know any place that you can advertise for $1,300 and get this many jobs, so I am okay with it. Great.
You know, Councilor, there's a significant opinion. You hear it bubble up every once in a while about the city being anti-business, and I think it's a holdover from some time before any of us were council members, but it persists. I think the home base development, all of our efforts, you'll see a few later in the agenda, in fact, are quite to the contrary. So I hope you all will vote yes. I think it is important to flag that, though, that we are doing what we can to make sure this is a good place to grow your business. City Clerk, I will have you call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway. Absent. Somerville. Absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 19. Councilmember Richardson.
All right, thank you. I move that the Laramie City Council approve the grant agreement for land and water conservation funds between the State of Wyoming, Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites and Trails, and the City of Laramie, Wyoming, in an amount not to exceed $300,000 to support the replacement of the Optimist Park play structure with an all-inclusive play area, and authorize the city manager and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by O'Doherty. Director Bork.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. This was something that was applied for through the Land and Water Conservation Fund back in 2023 and has been awarded and has been signed off by the Attorney General as well now. And this is a 100% matching. So they're awarding $300,000 and through our specific purpose tax allowance, we're putting in $300,000 for a total of a $600,000 project. As it was mentioned, this is to replace the existing and aging playground structure with an all-inclusive ADA accessible playground that's going to be just a gem of that area there at Optimist Park, and hopefully some other improvements to that general play area as well. This is in line with our master plan as well in making improvements and replacing aging equipment. So I ask that you approve this grant award. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Councilor Newman, please.
Is there any of the equipment that we can reuse there or use at a different location?
Honorable Mayor, no, it's all old enough, and I won't say no conclusively until I have a chance to go out and really inspect, but by what I've seen, it's aged itself out.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? All right, we'll turn this over to the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak to this item can come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'll close public comment period. Councilors, before the vote. Councilor O'Doherty, please.
The Laramie Advisory Commission on Disabilities is very excited about this project and was told about it by Mr. Hunter, and it's going to be a great opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. All right. And I would add, because I now spend a significant amount of my life at the park, not just folks who are using wheelchairs and things, right? So we've all seen grandparents unable to reach the top because there's some weird bar across the middle that you have to crawl under, and a grandparent can't do that. So you have to get a favor to get your child down when they got themselves a little too high. So I think in a lot of ways, this is a real benefit to the community. All right. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel, absent. Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway, absent. Somerville, absent. Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
All of a sudden, I couldn't count. Sorry, Mayor.
know, you're
6
okay.
yeses, 0 no's, and 3 absent, Your
All
Honor.
right, that item has been approved. We'll move on to item 20. Vice Mayor Cumby, please.
Thank you. I move to approve the Breeze Through Car Wash Addition preliminary plat based on findings of fact and conclusions of law, subject to all staff's recommended conditions.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Newman. Mr. Gabatuller, welcome. Thank you for
good evening, Honorable Mayor.
patience with us.
Yes, absolutely, learning a lot here. Honorable Mayor, members of council, before you, you have the preliminary plat for the Breeze Through Car Wash Addition. It is a one-lot subdivision, which is basically required to develop this lot into a car wash because it's actually currently unplatted, which is pretty uncommon along Grand Avenue, but that's essentially what we're doing here is platting this lot officially so that a site plan can be submitted by the Breeze Through Car Wash folks, and so the site can be developed. I won't spend too much time on this given the size of the lot, and basically in staff size it's formally developed. A lot of the requirements such as access, utilities, stormwater management, water and sewer service, of course, are there or will be explored during the site plan process, which the applicant, Deanne, who you've already heard from it during the public input phase at the beginning of the meeting, will speak to. For all our preliminary plats, they need to meet meet findings prior to approval. All these have been met, as you can see in the staff report that was presented to Planning Commission. It was unanimously approved at their meeting, which was just last week. So again, I won't spend too much time on this. I just want council to be assured that this has been reviewed by staff, and it is just an undeveloped lot on Grand or a developed lot that has not been platted. Thus, we're going through the preliminary plat, and you'll very soon see the final plat as well. Glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gabatuller. Councilors, any questions here? All right. We'll turn this over to the public then. Actually, I might take comment from Ms. Frederickson. If you have anything you'd like to add, we would sure appreciate it. Deanne, are you on the Zoom call still? Maybe you stepped away, we can circle back. If you are, we'd love some comment from you. All right, we'll circle back after public comment, counselors. Boy, it's getting later.
I'm here now.
Oh, great. Ms. Frederickson, if you have any comments, we'd sure appreciate them.
I got a chance to introduce myself previously. I've not been to a public hearing here in Laramie before.
Sure.
So I wanted to introduce myself to make sure the property owner who is there in the chambers knows that I'm here and I'm representing John Agnew on this car wash. We're super excited about the prospect of building a car wash here. It'll be, I think, our 13th installation. We have 3 in Cheyenne right now, and the rest are in northern Colorado. So we're super excited to come to Cheyenne, or to come to Laramie. And we'll be following up with a site development plan and a final plat application here in the next 10 days or so.
Great. Thank you so much. And did you all have anything you would like to add? Please come forward. Yeah. Just give us your name and.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
And you'll push the button to get the green light. Thank you.
It's been a great meeting. My name is Jason Flock. I've learned a lot, and I don't know if this makes a difference or not, but I believe it's a 2-plot, 2606 Grand and 2605 Garfield.
Currently, but it will be.
It will be considered 1 plot. Okay.
Great.
I guess that was it. Right. Oh, I'm excited about the project. It's been an eyesore for years. I know because I've been around it a long time, so if we can get this going and beautify Grand a little bit more, that would be great.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for taking time to be here and spending the whole evening with us. All right. Councilors, any questions for the applicants? Okay. We'll turn it to the public. If there's any member of the public who wishes to add comment, now's your chance. Council members, anything before the vote? All right. City Clerk? Oh, please, Vice Mayor Cumbie.
I just wanted to acknowledge that the facility is designed to employ 12 to 15 staff members, 5 of whom would be in the position to manage operations. So that's additional employment to our city. So,
thank you. All right. Anyone else? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel, absent. Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway, absent. Somerville, absent. Cumbie.
yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Best of luck.
Good luck.
Item 21. Councilor Pierce, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2092, amending Laramie Municipal Code Title 15.28 to update the definition of sign shop and modify Table 15.10-1 to reflect the newly expanded use of sign shop as recommended by Planning Commission on first reading in accordance with findings of fact and conclusions of law.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by O'Doherty. Mr. Gabatuller, please.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of council. This text amendment has been proposed by Elk Ridge Builders and Design and seeks to modify the definition of sign shop and adjust the table of allowed uses to better capture the full scope of services that a modern contemporary sign shop offers. Over time, the traditional concept of a sign shop, primarily a retail establishment, has expanded to include a wide range of digital and creative services, including digital marketing, production technologies that were not previously captured by the current code. So really this is, in our eyes, a dated definition that a new business, American Paintbrush, is wanting to incorporate in that old Napa building downtown. But as you're aware, any amendment to the code applies across the board. So any new sign shop other than American Paintbrush would be subject to this as well. So the amendment to the definition first, which is the first part of this text amendment, reflects the growing intersection of traditional sign making services and digital design and production techniques. Sign shops no longer just a place to buy signs, but also they're cutting things. They're usually getting the materials shipped in, but they're doing some cutting, sticking. I know that's what's going on at American Paintbrush right now, and that's the proposed use for that old Napa building downtown. The expanded definition that is being proposed acknowledges these changes and the fact that they would require more than just a retail storefront. Again, small-scale production activities like cutting wood, plastic, and for sign materials, while maintaining a relatively low impact in terms of off-site noise, glares, odors, and things like that we need to consider with uses, making sure they're working together. It's crucial to note that the amendment clarifies that sign shops are not categorized as light manufacturing, which is important because they are in our table of allowed uses, which I'll talk about next, conditionally allowed and permitted differently. So originally the sign shop wanted to be considered as light manufacturing, but according to the definition, we felt like recommending them change the definition of the sign shop is a better way to go. So, moving on to the table of allowed uses, this amendment would seek to allow sign shops sign shops aren't currently in the table of allowed uses either. I should add that. So what you have in front of you, that highlighted section in the ordinance, that's going to be all new. So this amendment seeks to allow the sign shops to operate in various zoning districts. The flexibility that you see there is crucial for supporting economic development in Laramie by allowing this hybrid type of business to allow it to establish itself in the downtown commercial district. I did differentiate between the sign shop and light manufacturing. We definitely see how they're similar, but the only change we as staff and the applicant is in favor of is making the sign shop a conditional use for the downtown commercial district, since it is quite unique when you're looking at other commercial districts such as B1 and B2. So that's why you do see the conditional use there. So when they do actually move into that building or propose to alter that building to accommodate the sign shop, they'll need to do a conditional use permit. And that's really to protect the downtown commercial district from like a giant sign shop, right? I mean, conditional uses are approved and reviewed by the Planning Commission, so it gives them a little more flexibility and a little more leeway to make sure it fits within that zoning district itself. We, as staff, believe that this is in alignment with the comprehensive plan as far as fostering economic growth, supporting innovation, and adapting to evolving business models. The public notice has been posted. Well, the public hearing is going to be at our second hearing. But it also has been, it will be advertised, and we have not heard anything yet, but we'll keep you up to date on that. And in conclusion, staff believes that the amendments are not only in alignment with best planning practices, but also necessary to keep the code current and up to date with today's business environment. So I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. Council members. Vice Mayor?
If you could clarify, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended this, if I remember.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mention that, but yes, I believe there was 2 absent, but there was unanimous.
But of those present, it was unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Other questions, council members? Councilor Pierce, please.
Might be a really stupid question here, but this would include potentially the framing of a sign as well?
Honorable Mayor, through you, I believe that would fall under what the definition is, anything incidental to making a sign.
Right, because it says cutting of wood and plastics for sign backing materials.
Honorable Mayor, through you, yes, that to staff, that would mean making frames, yeah.
Frames.
Although I'm sure they would do that. I don't think that's their main business model at the moment, but.
Thanks.
Other questions? All right, we'll turn it over to the public. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to this item, come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Councilors, before the vote on first reading. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Gabriel, absent. Newman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway, absent. Somerville, absent. O'Doherty.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved on first reading. We'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to the council on an item not on the agenda, come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, close public comment. Council members, any future work session topics? Councilor Richardson, then the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Maybe I should wait. I don't have a topic. I have a question on one of our lists, from our list.
Sure. Vice Mayor?
I've recently been approached by a group of moms who use the parks with the kids, and they're concerned about the availability of bathrooms. And one mother has a child with disability and has difficulty with access to facilities for disability, and then what they're reporting is that in the winter they don't have access to bathrooms. And so it's being presented to me, and I wonder if this is something that we might want to look at. Is there any solution? Is there anything where we can have facilities in our mini parks available beyond the warm months?
I'm wondering if this is something perhaps the Disabilities Commission could look at as a topic, and just if it feels like something that would land there.
It's both disability and availability for the children, that when they're at the park and they have to use facilities, then they have to try to quickly get them home or to an establishment.
Or perhaps if that's something Todd has thought about. I'm not sure. I think we need a full work session on it, but I would love to just learn.
Please, Assistant City Manager.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, if I could shed a little bit of light, those facilities haven't necessarily been constructed to provide heat through the deep winter months. And simply the cost of bringing in whatever heat source supply it is, there's no natural gas in the parks. There's oftentimes not enough electricity at those areas. And then providing furnaces and such to provide heat for facilities that are used rather lightly over the winter, although I would love to do it. The cost-benefit analysis would be the largest measure that we'd have to do in that provision. I'm not saying that we can't provide portable restrooms or handicap-accessible restrooms or something like that. The look of those is oftentimes unpleasing, and the cost of those is sometimes prohibitive to us on areas that are tight budgets. But the reason they're closed down in the wintertime is to simply protect the investment of plumbing that would not survive some of Laramie's deep colds, as you may know. Those buildings oftentimes weren't built and insulated correctly either. It's a small slump block that doesn't provide the R value that you need to prevent freezing as we go through. So,
thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll pass on making that a work session at this point.
Same question, Councilor Richardson.
I have a question, or a comment, so.
Okay. Any other new topics? Okay, we're going to go to Councilor Richardson. Councilor Newman.
I'm just looking for a little clarification. I remember it coming up, but the alley improvements topic, are we talking alley improvements for just downtown? Are we talking citywide? I'm just thinking about this and wondering where we would start, and this feels very big to me currently.
I recall that conversation being largely about, because trash service is moving out of alleys, then what do we do with alleys otherwise? I think it was fairly big picture, right? Okay.
Fairly big.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's sufficient to answer your question, but Vice Mayor, you want to add?
I do want to say that since this idea came forward in talking to other people on safety and traffic, there's increased risk for mid-block crossing. So that would be something, but I have received complaints from people about the poor state of alleys and the way people trash them and put materials out and tires and this and that and the other. And so there's kind of a couple issues. I'm not sure the pedestrian thing is safety feasible, but to look at enforcing ordinances already in existent zoning and just in possibly something that would incentivize a block to a competition to increase the beauty of the alleys. So, but it is broad. And I think the initial ideas about pedestrian walkways was corrected by safety issues.
So thank you. Councilor Newman?
My comment is just, we're kind of running out of work sessions till the end of the year, and there's a lot on our list. And I would like to see if we can get some of these, especially for the counselors who will no longer be with us, but brought up the work session, if we could get some of these scheduled and talked about. Just my comment.
Thank you. All right, anything else, council members? Councilor Pierce, get us home.
Yeah, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. All right, council members, we are adjourned. Thank you all.